drop a couple shout outs. First, Serenity Landscaping Services. It is, I mean, spring has sprung. First day of spring's here. It was like 50 degrees out today. So all that stuff you're pushing aside, it might be time to get scheduled, some spring cleanings, big projects, anything that you might have. So if you want to give them a call at 518-331-0774. Again, that's Serenity Landscaping Services at 518-331-0774, and let them know that Chris from Chewin the Rag sent you. Be sure to check my channel out, Pinchworm Gaming, on YouTube. I believe it's on Twitch as well, but I don't really use it. If you go to ChewinTheRag.com, all my links are on there, and that should be one of them that's on there. I mostly stream Madden, but I'm getting into COD, Apex, the new season of Fortnite. I've been playing that a little bit, so I'll probably stream that soon. So Pinchworm Gaming on YouTube. And again, I really appreciate you guys checking this one out. And
this meeting is being recorded.
All right.
Oh, it's you. I was like, who's talking? It came out of your speaker. I was like,
the shit out of me. Super vicious too. It's recording.
I didn't know, like, because I literally have never heard it from somebody else's end. So like to me, it's a completely different like notification.
Yeah.
So like I was like, dude, what the fuck is that? We're good, dude.
Awesome.
How you doing?
Doing great. Good to be here.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, dude. This is for everybody who doesn't know. I teased it on today's episode, actually. This is my buddy Chris. He is Dark Horse 6 on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch. I don't even know where else you are. TikTok,
Instagram. TikTok. Yeah, trying to hit them all. Really just trying to hit them all.
Yeah, dude. No, your channel's, it's getting pretty, because I mostly watch you on Twitch, even though I don't even use Twitch, which is funny.
Yeah.
But like for Facebook, I just feel like the comments don't come in or something when I.
Yeah, when I use Twitch, there's a different screen and you can see all the comments, but then I can't comment back. So I usually leave it on that now, just because the one day you were commenting and I couldn't find it, but now it's all right now. And that's like, I use Facebook a little bit because that's more of a draw to people, right? Like people be like, what's Twitch?
Yeah.
And then you have to go through the whole role. And then you tell them you're watching video games and they're like, well, that's ridiculous. And you're like, well, when I say it out loud, it's kind of ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. They're not lying.
Yeah.
It's like, I always made fun of people for it. I'm like, dude, what do you mean you're watching a streamer? Just go play.
Right.
That's and now it's like everywhere. Like you can't go on any social media without somebody promoting something that they're streaming.
Yeah. And I feel like over the last few years, it's really gotten popular. I don't know if it was like a COVID thing, because like, and I don't even know how I found it. Right. But like, I started with chess. I started watching chess on Twitch. And it was actually when I was deployed, and I would just watch and watch. And it actually started because this one dude was just whooping my ass. Yes. And it was like the first dude ever who just consistently beat me. And I was like, what am I doing wrong now?
Yeah.
And then I found this dude on YouTube, which is kind of why I do the YouTube thing, and started watching him. And he's like, well, check out my live stream. And I was like, okay. And then, that's kind of how I discovered Twitch myself.
Yeah, no, I remember like when Twitch first, it was obviously like Ninja or whatever it was, and people were making fun of him. And I was like, I don't know who that even is to be making fun of him. I don't know what he does. I just know he's making a shit ton of money playing games. He was like the first one.
Yeah.
And then nobody local was doing it that I knew of. And now it's like, I see you, I have a handful or more of people that I know are on Twitch or YouTube, whatever they use, including me. I mostly just use YouTube for the same reason you use Facebook.
Right.
It's like YouTube's like the source for videos. So that's what I'm hoping catches on the easiest.
Yeah. And that's what I did too. I got on YouTube as well. And I don't think I get much feedback. I think one of my buddies was watching on YouTube and then he hopped over to Twitch. So just multiple, like you're doing with the podcast, multiple platforms.
Yeah.
Hopefully it sticks somewhere and people just come in and watch.
Yeah. I thought about doing something. So for like Dangerously Average Dudes, we had a Twitch set up for us, but like I felt like it was getting like congested. Like people are like, okay, are you guys a podcast or are you gaming? Because
Yeah.
we did everything on one channel. So that's why I do like Pinchworm is something completely separate from Chewing the Rag, just because I didn't want to congest everything. But I feel like I don't know, maybe I'll get like podcast episodes on Twitch and just to have another source there.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure you could just upload right to it. But,
yeah. You were telling me about that. I couldn't ever figure that out.
Yeah,
The other challenge with it is, right, you have all these names, right? And people are like, well, which one do I pick?
Right.
And even with Dark Horse, right? That's why I put them all kind of in my screen, like in my screen when I'm streaming and like on Instagram. I have my link tree so that like it makes it easy for people. They just go click it. But I mean, a lot of them have underscores in different spots. So if you just look up Dark Horse 6, you'll never find me probably. Like you'll get some guy from God knows where. And yeah, so it's really just trying to get it all in one place in different places, I guess.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I mean, for this, I mean, even Dangerously Average Dudes, I don't think that was on Amazon for this. I was like, I want to make sure I get on Amazon Music because, like, as a Prime member, I'm always getting advertisements for Amazon Music, and I don't use it, but I'm sure there's people with Prime that strictly use that. So it's like, all right, let me try to get on there. And then Google Podcasts, I don't use, but it's on there. Like, it's just everywhere.
Yeah, and it's crazy too. Like, even just on that subject, I've used Amazon Music. I've gotten so upset with Apple Music some points. Like, they screw with their money, like they screw with the prices and stuff like that. Even recently, they upped it to $11, I think, and I was like, well, I could get Spotify for $9. So I pretty much nixed Apple Music and went to Spotify, and I used that. And I think at one point I was using Apple Music, just same reason. Like Apple was just screwing around with their prices, and I was like, capitalism.
Yeah, exactly. I think Spotify for just about everything besides like streaming, obviously, or anything.
Yeah.
But I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Spotify got into that just because there's money there.
Yeah.
Just fucking stream on Spotify. Why not?
I mean, I think YouTube was after Twitch. I think, I mean, even TikTok, but TikTok, I'm like, they're crazy not to get in that market. Like everyone is on TikTok. Like TikTok that's probably where something will hit just because, dude, people just scroll TikTok for hours.
Yeah, dude, I posted a clip on there this morning and like right away views were up, people were responding. I'm like, dude, it's 7 a.m. where I am. Like, you guys like I can't do this. I just thought I was gonna post and ghost and like check it at 11. And by like 7:30 I had like responses. I'm like, I can't do this early.
There's even Discord. I haven't dabbled much into my own personal Discord, but there's been a handful of people who are like, make your own channel on Discord. People like to come in and hang out there. And honestly, I don't even keep my notifications on a Discord, but I use it just to kind of network in some places, video game wise. But
I don't even, dude, I have Discord, like I have the app and I have one set up, but like there's so many different like branches and rooms and things to click. Dude, I'm like, it's gonna be a full 24 hours for me to just like watch a YouTube video and somebody who knows what they're doing break it down, because I do not get, dude, there's so much.
And this is such a learning curve, this whole thing, right? Like growing up, and we're weird because we're both same age, we're both 30, and we grew up where there was no internet, and then there was dial-up internet where like your parents would yell at you for being on the internet because they needed to call their sister or whatever. And then now we're at this where we're talking over the internet, and it's just insane. And I was always like, I'm never going to be one of those dudes who doesn't know how to work on the internet. And here I am trying to figure out all this stuff for streaming. And it's just like every app is set up different. And it's just, you just have to play with it. And it's crazy because like, I mean, even yesterday, you were probably the only one in my stream, but me and Josh were trying to set up Minecraft. We couldn't figure out how to talk to each other. And I was like, it was just like this. And when I first came on, you're like, nope, can't hear you. I was like, damn it. Just got to play with technology, and it's just sometimes you get it.
Yeah, dude, you go hard though, because like I'll start your stream up, I'll get like a notification that you're live, and I'm like, oh, I'll watch it because I'll be at work. It'll be like 1 o'clock, and then I'm like, dude, I'm sitting down for dinner, and I realize it's still going. I'm like, dude, he's going hard.
Yeah, it's kind of nice. Being a firefighter, I work once every 4 days, and then usually that day after, it's kind of like, this is my rest day. This is my day off. And it's like a Tuesday. everyone else is working.
Yeah.
So I usually get up, take care of my adult things, and then I'm like, well, I guess I'm going to stream for a couple hours. And that's the big thing too, right? Like every streamer I watch, every big stream, like all my personal favorites, they do 8+ hour streams.
Yeah. It's
and I mean, if that's your source of income, then you probably should work at least an 8-hour day. Some of them go 12. There's people who promote like they do like 24-hour streams.
Yeah.
And that gets them crazy views. And it's just like, I mean, sometimes you just got to sit there, but it is tough sitting here for 5 hours at a rip. I don't even know what my longest stream has been, but I know hour 4 comes around, hour 5, and I'm like, I need a stretch, man. I'm getting old. Even now I'm thinking about it. I got to shift around a little bit. It's tough.
It's tough. It is tough. People don't realize, I think you and I talked about this a little bit before, where it's like, people don't realize how boring, like they're like, oh, you're just sitting around playing video games. Like, dude, especially if you're playing alone.
When you play alone, it's the worst.
Dude, you're like, yeah, I'm sitting around playing. I don't even know if I'm having fun doing it at this point.
Yeah, yeah, that's why we jumped to Minecraft yesterday. It was like, even like now, I'm a big camo guy. I go for all the camos in Call of Duty. It's something about finishing challenges that I just really enjoy. Like, I'm pretty terrible at Warzone. That's a big hit, I think, for people to watch. But
yeah.
And then you just grind camos and you're like, all right, I got 3 headshots that match, only 50 more to go. And you're just, it's kind of defeating, and the match isn't fun. You get your ass kicked the whole time. And it's a grind when you're doing it by yourself. But then we got you or Josh, you're just in the background. You're just talking shit like for no reason, calling people cheaters. It's like, this is fun.
Yeah, this is when it's fun. Like when you can get a group, and dude, I was on last night, not even for long, just a little bit. And we're in pregame lobby where everybody can finally hear you, and we're playing a TDM. And it got quiet for a second. And I was just like, oh man, I'm just looking for somebody's son to throw that ass onto. And there's like these 3 black dudes and one just like, hey, yo, what the fuck?
There they are.
I was like, yeah, there's everybody. And
yep.
I was like, oh my
There's
God.
the people who eat up troll bait.
Dude, he's like, what the fuck? And I was like, I thought it was in party chat. My bad. Dude, that's what it's fun, when you could just get everybody involved.
Yeah.
Especially like even back in the day when we'd be like, oh, titty blasted.
Yep, titty blasted. Like, oh man, that was nuts. Yep.
Oh, and we weren't even streaming then. If we were, it might be.
Yeah.
Those games.
That's the other thing, right? It was kind of like this whole thing kind of started. I did enjoy watching people. I usually watch Twitch, if anything, right? Like, I'm not into any shows.
Yeah.
I remember you were talking with someone on your podcast, and they were like, dude, I started a show, don't finish it. And I think it was you, and it was the same way. I'm the same way, dude. It's like, if you got a mainstream show, I'm not watching it. Like, and then same thing, like 2 years later, I'll pop it on and be like, oh, this is good. And then I'll try to talk to someone about it, and you're like awkwardly or talking to them.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't work. But yeah, it's kind of, I mean, I kind of relate to firefighting. It's like, you never know what you're going to get. So it's kind of nice to just not know what you're going to watch.
Yeah.
And those dudes are hilarious. It is. It's like a stand-up comedy. And most of them have a really good group of people that they, that come in every day. I usually don't read the chat. I usually just turn it on and watch. I fall asleep to it.
Yeah.
But it's awesome. I support them. Like, if you have an Amazon Prime, you can give them a sub for free. It supports the channel.
Yeah, no, it's just interesting how it happened. Just all of it. Because like, obviously I didn't play video games much. Let me rephrase that. I didn't play video games online much growing up. I got into like online gaming super late compared to everybody else, probably after high school, just because I didn't have it. Like, I just grew up without the money to do it. Right. I just had like consoles, but never online. If the only way I was online is if I was at Jake's house. Right. So yeah, man. Dude, like, same thing. Shout out to Chris Miller if he listens to this. Chris Miller, dude. Chris Miller got me into RuneScape. RuneScape was probably the first biggest online game I played. And a lot of people can say that. Yeah. But, dude, I remember this memory going down into his basement, like in the non-creepiest way. That's where he hung out. That was like his man cave. Yeah. It was awesome. It was his spot. And he was like, dude, I got the new Call of Duty. And I was like, what's that? Dude, he handed me the controller. And here I am, probably 15 years later, Yeah.
Just still playing the same type of game because I was just hooked. It was Call of Duty 4, and then they remade it, and same thing. I was just like, oh man, this is just childhood memories.
Yeah,
and
dude,
ever since then,
when that remaster came out, it was everything. I was like, yes, dude.
it
Like,
was so
it
perfect.
got rid of all like that bells and whistles shit, like the fucking slide canceling and all that. I was like, it's just these guys all suck now.
Yeah. That's the thing, man. They adapt to these games. Like, I think this one's pretty good. The Modern Warfare 2.
I think so.
I mean, the attachments are crazy. Like back then, you can have one attachment. It was
Yeah,
like a red dot sight, a silencer, or I don't even remember what the other one was, but it was like that. There were 3 kill streaks.
Yeah.
Now you just all kinds of craziness. I'm throwing knives at people, hitting them with a giant shield.
Dude. Like you can't see that coming, and then one day it just hits, and now it's like the norm. You like, dude, you get these new guys that play those old games, and like, what do you mean I can't get anything after this red dot? This is it. And it's like, that's it, motherfucker.
I don't even think you had to unlock it.
Yeah, dude.
There was 3 camos.
Yeah, it was so like basic.
Back then, like you got to max level and then you restarted, which was awesome. It was revolutionary, and it was like you lose everything. But do you want to have this next cooler symbol next to your name? And 16-year-old me was like, hell fucking yeah, I do. I want this helicopter symbol next to my name.
Yeah, dude. I remember the first time that happened, and I was like, I prestige, and I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
They're like, oh, dude, that's it. And they're like, do it again. And I'm like, what do you mean do it again? Do it again.
Play the game.
How long this took?
Yeah, man. I think the first time it was a shock too. I was like, oh fuck.
Yeah, you're like, first you think you fucked up, and then they explain it. They're like, no, you prestige. And I was like, oh, okay. I thought I just lost it. I thought I just
really cool symbol next to your name.
Yeah, all that for a symbol, but I want that damn symbol.
And they never told you which symbol was what prestige. So you'd be like the second one, and you'd see a really cool symbol, and you're like, I gotta at least get that one.
Yeah.
Gotta at least get that one. You knew it tapped out when you finally saw that gold cross, and you're like, all right, that might be the last one.
There it is.
Yeah.
And then now it's just battle pass. That's what really matters. Is can you complete the battle pass? Which like every game has one now. It's weird. Like even sports games, like you go to NBA 2K and they have a season pass, and it's like a battle pass, but for sports. And it's like, dude, every game dabbled into that.
And it's kind of smart, right? Like you make a good, successful game, it has a good launch, whatever. I mean, look at Rainbow Siege. Rainbow Siege is still going.
Yep.
And that's what we were playing. And that was what, 2017?
Yeah.
I think that game came out even 2 years earlier than that. Still a hot game. Still like probably top 15, top 20.
Yeah, we were me and my cousin were actually just talking about like Siege lobbies. Like everybody talks about COD lobbies, but Siege lobbies, if you weren't playing Siege the correct way, it was the most toxic lobby you could be in.
Yeah, some true operators in that lobby.
Barricade this fucking wall, and it's like, dude, still, I don't know how.
Some serious like green berets in those lobbies,
dude. And if you barricade a wall, I was gonna blow a fuking hole in that, you moron. And it's like, dude, I don't know. I'm just barricading the wall.
Yeah, the objective's right behind it. They're gonna come through it.
Me, Tucker, there was like 4 of us, and it was a 5-party game. And we got to the point where we were so toxic that if we had the majority, you could vote to kick the random.
Yeah.
So we would just always vote to kick the last guy, and it would be like the majority vote. And it's like, why the fuck you guys kick it? And then he's just gone. And it's like, hey, fuck you, buddy.
They'd be praying for their lives.
Yeah. They're like, don't do it. Why are you guys doing it?
Yep.
The most toxic bullshit. Yeah, dude, I love doing that. Like, oh, your name just sucks. And they're like, what do you mean my name sucks? And then it's just quiet because they got booted. It's like, yeah, dude.
Yeah. Vote went through. But that kind of sucked too, because then you're like, oh shit, now
we're
what?
down.
Yeah.
We're down a person. Nobody else can join. Fuck. But like I know I'm not the most skilled at games, so I'm like, I gotta be funny if I'm gonna I gotta be one or the other. So I just gotta make people laugh at this point, which that's always my goal. So it's like, all right, we can do that.
Yeah. If you're just dying all the time, it's not fun.
You can't die and be funny.
Yeah.
Or not funny, rather. Because then people are like, why am I watching this dude just die repeatedly in silence? It's just it's just me and camera just like hyper focused and dying. It's like, are you gonna talk, dude? You suck.
Not even getting angry either. He's just sitting there. It doesn't even correlate. That does suck though, man. I mean, not good all the time. And it's just, you get those matches. I think my first match yesterday, I was just like down bad.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I'm just going to turn this stream off. It's not even worth it.
You were like, fuck it. First of all, you looked like you just rolled out of bed. You looked
I
exhausted.
did.
I
did.
You're like, I'm fucking tired. Like, sounded miserable. I'm like, dude, turn your stream off for an hour.
Yeah. No disclaimer. This isn't a warm up. I didn't even say anything at the beginning of my stream. Usually I'm sitting here talking to myself. And just yesterday, I was just like, click, start, game. I was like, oh shit, doing really bad right now.
The only thing is, I'm fucking tired right now. I'm just sucking.
It was crazy, yeah.
Because that was your day after work, right? You worked the night before.
Day after the firehouse, and I came home and slept. We slept through the night.
Yeah.
So like, there was no need to be tired, but
but
for sure,
it happens. Just one of those days. How long have you been with the firehouse now?
About a year and a half.
Year and a half.
Yeah. Yeah, I got hired in August of 21, and that's kind of the start. And then the academy is 4 months, and all that time counts. And then my first shift was in December of 2021.
Okay.
So a little over a year actually in the field, and it's great. I love every second of it. I mean, like, the job alone, right? Like, I'm out there, I'm quite literally saving people.
Yeah.
Occasionally having a fire. We really don't get a lot of fires in this area. But besides that, it's like, the first thing I tell people is I work twice a week. I work 80 days out of the year. And they're just like, what? And then it's like, it's like I work once every 4 days.
Yeah.
And then I have 3 days off, which is definitely warranted. I mean,
the
craziest. What's that?
I was gonna say, it's not like it's an office job that you're just at 2 days a week.
Yeah. It's, you never know. You never know when the bell's going to go off. You never know what's going to be on the other side of the bell. I mean, we eat there, we sleep there, we go to the bathroom there. So a quarter of my life is living at a firehouse.
Right.
So yeah, you're always kind of on edge. I usually don't go to sleep until 11 o'clock midnight, which is later than normal. Like tonight, there's no way I'm staying up till 11 o'clock. So it kind of throws off your sleep schedule. And then again, you're just like, you don't sleep well there. You're in a different bed every fourth day.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. But when you could turn around and tell people, like, I sit in a recliner most of the day. My training the other day was learning how to break doors down. It's the coolest job in the world. It's the best job in the world. So.
And then you have military with that.
Yeah. So then guardsman, National Guard. And then best way to describe that is 1 weekend a month, 2 weeks out of the year. Usually about a 15-day period, which is always more than that, which you're never really told that. You kind of find out the hard way. Like just this month, I went twice. So I went a total of 4 days. One was a Monday, Tuesday. And this fire job is the first job I've had that wasn't military. I'll get a little bit into that, but so yeah, and I go out to Buffalo. So it's 4-hour drive both ways, right? 4-hour drive out, 4-hour drive back. So yeah, it's a lot. We go up to Fort Drum, which from Buffalo is about 3.5 hours. From Albany is about 3.5 hours. So a lot of road time. And then the days are usually 12 hours is a safe thing. It just depends on what's going on, what needs to get done. Which you can imagine is a lot for only seeing each other once a month.
Yeah.
It's a lot of, I do a lot of signing. I'm in charge of the unit. I sign paperwork probably for the first half of the first day. And then everyone else is catching up on other things. The Army wants to know how much you weigh, what your height is. Are you physically fit enough? There's all sorts of courses and classes that the Army says you need to do this to be compliant with our standard. So it's a lot I have about 30 people who drill in my unit for them to come in 2 days and complete.
Yeah.
And then the 2 weeks out of the year is pretty cool because we go out to the field and we actually train on what our jobs are. So like last summer, we were up at Fort Drum. I was actually there for probably like 27 days. And that was really just because it came to the end of my time. And then I had some time off of the firehouse still. And I was like, well, I'm not going to do anything for the next 3 days. Might as well sit here and make a few more bucks.
Right.
And yeah, we were outside sleeping in tents. Yeah, we kind of do it all. We're going to Michigan this year in August. Yeah, it's an okay gig. I've been doing it for 9 years. 9 years today, actually, I think.
Oh,
9 years
really?
today or tomorrow. Yeah. So when I was just growing up, really, I lived kind of on the edge of the city and we had woods in our backyard. And me and Zach Eustace, some of you may know, we were just always in the woods. And we were always like spying on people. We always had dollar store like machine guns, and it was awesome. We dug a hole. We dug like a 7-foot hole one time just to call it a bunker.
That just sounds like fucking Eustace.
Yeah. It was that's kind of what we did for fun. I mean, like I said, this was before the internet, so RuneScape probably ruined that, but yeah, we just dug a hole. We put the dirt in like Hannaford bags and stacked them up like they were sandbags.
Yeah.
And it was just like, there was always just a love for that kind of military thing. Like being outdoors is always a big thing. And then high school was weird because like I got really good grades.
Yeah.
And I didn't try. Like I always did my homework, but I did my homework in study hall before the class. And it was just like, this is really easy. So good grades, wanted to be in the Army. And I don't think it was till my senior year I found out about West Point, right? Which is a way to become an officer in the military. And I was like, that sounds cool. And everyone was like, that's really prestigious. And I was like, okay, like killing life so far. Like, let's do it. But that's a lot. That's like a lot of paperwork. Usually you have to know someone in the regard of like your parent or like a relative went there, or you play sports because they're a D1 sports school. So, you need a congressional nomination, which I think I got. I can't remember. But you go in front of this board of like 5 old timers who are in the military, and they're just like, why do you want to go to West Point? And I was like, I want to be in the Army. Like I probably said some stupid shit.
Yeah.
I was probably like 18 years old, no life experience, which I found out very quickly once I went to college.
Yeah.
Like sharp as a tack when it comes to a textbook, but like talking to someone, no clue. Anyway, yeah. So then I found about the ROTC program, which you could do through almost any college. I mean, RPI has their own, and if you go to Siena, Hudson Valley, I think there's another one, you can do that program through it. So there's tons of ways to commission and be an officer, which I thought was going to be the coolest thing ever. I was like, yeah, being an officer in the military is like, why not? People salute you. I thought that was going to be the greatest thing. Found out it's the worst thing. Like everyone salutes you, and you just find ways to like walk around people so that you don't have to salute them. Yeah, it's terrible. It's not even a hard task, and it's all about like respect, right? But the worst. So, but yeah, and it's taken me to a ton of places. I mean, New York alone, I've been every major city. One of my first, I wouldn't call it a deployment, but you always hear on the news like National Guard was deployed, or they're on standby or something. Yep. We call those state active duty missions. My very first one was to go to Syracuse, and then we were pushed down to Binghamton. Kind of full circle. We went down there to shovel out fire hydrants. And we were down there for a day. The firehouse took awesome care of us. They fed us. Don't come to our firehouse. We won't feed you. We got a recliner for you, but we won't feed you. Yeah, it was a big deal. I mean, like back then it was a very like rocky program. So like to actually go out and do a mission was kind of like, holy crap, we actually did something. And then our second one, we were in, that one we brought people to the hospital too, like nurses and doctors and stuff. So I guess that was a big deal. The second one was the Lake Ontario flooded. And that ended up being a 3-month mission. I was in Syracuse for a month, then in Rochester for 2 months. And it was quite literally, they had sandbagging machines. Department of Transportation had sandbagging machines. And I mean, it became a game. Like, as an officer, I was kind of in charge of the people, right? Like, make sure they're fed, make sure they have a spot to stay, make sure they're getting paid. But also like keeping track of how many sandbags you can make. And I think in one day we made like 10,000 sandbags. It's ridiculous, like a ridiculous number. And then it turned into more of like an admin place of like, where does the sandbags need? And that's kind of what Rochester turned into. But I remember when I was in Rochester, like being on my email every day, I got an email. It was like, hey, we need a logistics guy to go to Ukraine. And this was 2017, I think.
Yeah.
And it was just like, I don't know where Ukraine is, but I want to go somewhere. And sure as shit, they pulled my number. And I mean, I didn't tell my family probably until recently, honestly, like within the last 2 years, but I volunteered for that.
Yeah.
And 8 months later, I was running around in Ukraine, and that was an awesome deployment. Our mission was so we had a dual mission because we were the logistics unit. So we made sure everyone on our base, U.S. military side, had fuel for the generators, water. We did all the maintenance on the vehicles. And then on the flip side, myself and a sergeant trained the Ukrainians on logistics, which they're very stern people in their ways. So that was definitely challenging. But at the end of the day, I got to see how they did it. And it was awesome. So like my 9-to-5 job of making sure everything was put in place logistically turned into, let's go into the woods and watch how the Ukrainians do it and kind of critique them as much as we can. That was good. I did a lot of traveling. There's a city in Western Ukraine called Lviv, probably one of the bigger cities. I know, watching the war news, that was a city that was untouched for a long time. Honestly, I've lost track of the conflict of what's going on over there, but they weren't touched. And they also did some morale trip through the chaplain, kind of the spirit morale guy is the chaplain. And he got us all to go to Krakow and then to Auschwitz, which, So like, I think I paid, it was like $600, but when you're deployed like that, like you don't have expenses. You have what you have at home, maybe a car, maybe a house. I had an apartment at the time. I was like, sorry guys, I'm out. Move back in with mom, put all my stuff there, and no more monthly payment, right? But so I had cash on hand. I think it was, like I said, $600, and I did a day in Krakow, Poland, and a day at Auschwitz, and Auschwitz 2 Birkenau was the other place. And that's kind of like that picture that everyone sees. It's like a big long railhead trail station and a train station.
Yep.
And it was it's humbling, man. It's like just learning about the events that took place there and the things that happened there. It's like, holy shit, just to walk the ground. So that's a really cool thing in Ukraine. And every Sunday they let us go into Lviv. So it was kind of like, here's your day off, get on this bus, go in and enjoy yourself. I got half my sleeve tattoo-wise done there. It was a real good deal. And then came home. While I was there, I actually got a full-time job. So the National Guard has this technician program where it's full-time people, because there's no way the National Guard could sustain itself just on a 1 month gig. So there's full-timers and technicians. A big part of them, they do the maintenance, which kind of in my wheelhouse as an officer. So I found a state job, which is state headquarters in Latham, and came home and did full-time Army for the most part, right? Full-time National Guard. And while I was there, same thing, got an email looking for a logistics guy to go to Kuwait. The money was so good in Ukraine. I had a blast. And I was like, sounds like I'm your guy.
Yeah.
And same thing. The technician job turned into a full-time active duty job, which you get paid for your rank. So it was like double pay. I did that for like 8 months. leading up to the deployment, and then we deployed. Kuwait is not a bad place to deploy unless a pandemic happens.
Yeah,
It was dude, it was wild. I mean, it was wild. We started in Pennsylvania, went down to Texas for a train up for deployment. There's always a train up. And then I remember like the last day or two in Texas, the colonel looks at our medic. We have just a medic, just like you'd find in a firehouse.
Yeah.
He looks at him, he goes, "We need to find this vaccine for COVID-19." And like I chuckled, right? Like at this point, I had no medical background, but I'm like, dude, vaccinations take a long time.
Yeah, dude.
So like just in that fact, I chuckled, but even like the knowledge of COVID-19 was just like, it was just this thing, right? Like people talk about like the bird flu, like whatever,
Right.
you know. So I was just like, whatever. We get there and it was right around this time. It was like 2 weeks prior to this. And it was just like pandemic. They shut everything down there. And I'm talking like they have a beautiful gym there that I was hitting at the beginning. They have more fast food places than this area. I mean, there's like a 10 by 10 foot with like a Taco Bell, a Subway, a Charlie's, all kinds of things. So like
Jesus.
if you didn't want to eat at the DFAC, you can eat there, but
Mhm.
all that went away. I mean, they had a pool, gone. You can go into town there, gone. But yeah, it turned into this like nice little city in the desert to just a desert. And it was just like kicking sand around for, I think I was there for like a little over 8 months. But yeah, I mean, you kind of learn a lot about yourself at that point. The internet sucked, so I didn't watch a lot of video games. But yeah, I still worked out pretty hard. Probably the best shape of my life coming out of there. I was pretty disciplined. Wake up 4 o'clock every morning. I'd be pounding pavement, running by 4:30, and then I always was pretty good about beating the what is it? Reveille at the beginning of the day, because on an active duty base they always play Reveille. They always play retreat at 6 o'clock and I think 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and that's when you stand outside, you salute the flag, you pay your respect to those who came before you, and then I'd get on with my day, which was like, it was just terrible. I mean, same thing. It was like I'd be in at my desk at 7. I probably wouldn't leave until 6 or 7. And this was Monday through Saturday. And then there's probably like 3 Sundays that I absolutely did nothing. I was just like, I need a full day, but even on Sunday, right, when I wasn't expected to work, there was things I was still expected to do. So it was like being told to work without being told to work. So yeah, I usually only work till noon, but I mean, we made the most of it. I was telling a story on stream the other day where there was one point where I was just like, yeah, we need a hot tub. I mean, this is like 115, like there was 125 degree days there. This was the craziest way to describe it, is just you'd be walking to get food and it felt like a blow dryer, like a hair dryer was just blowing in your face the whole time. And it was just like, this is not a way for humans to live. But yeah, we ended up getting some inflatable tubs. We put them in the back of a military truck. There was a water point where you just pull a handle and just like gallons would pour out, and we fill them up, got a few shitty pizzas, a few Heineken zeros, and we would just sit there and listen to music. And it was like the greatest thing ever. It was a getaway. It was real good.
It's like, because obviously like we know what happened here with the pandemic and like shutting down and everything, but that's not something that we even think about, is like operation outside of here that people had to deal with. We hear about like, oh, what China did, what Italy did, but it's not like, what did we do in another country?
Yeah, and it was absolutely wild, right? Because here there was a whole different lifestyle that just, it completely flipped, and I had absolutely no experience about it. I mean, the masks were still a thing when I came home. But like, just the way of living changed, and missing it as a civilian was just, it was kind of a shock in itself, right? And I mean, we did all the things over there. We social distance, we wore masks, everything closed down, and same thing, right? Like if you went to work, you went to work and you went right home.
Yep.
And it was the same thing over there. But like people's lives changed here, right? Like they did things differently. I mean, that's the best way to describe it. And just not seeing that was kind of crazy. And I come home, I go to Walmart the first time, I had a panic attack at Walmart because it was just like, do I even know how to like live this life right now? It was pretty wild. And then, I mean, it was quite literally like 2 weeks before we left, everything over there started opening up. So it was that pandemic time from March to November I was not here. Like the perfect timeline. And it was weird. It was definitely a transition.
Yeah, that's insane to think. I didn't even think about that aspect of it, of coming home. Like, because like even people, businesses that you would do, you'd go to every day, even the bar you would fucking go to.
Yeah.
Like, everything was different. Walmart wasn't 24 hours just because you brought up Walmart. Like,
yeah. And they're still not now. They realize they don't have to be.
Yeah, they're like, fuck this.
Yeah.
They don't open any registers. There's fucking 17 self-checkouts. Nobody works there. They're open till 11.
It's crazy.
They don't give a damn anymore. And that's one of the good things about it. Where businesses realizing like people can work from home. Like, we don't need this fucking guy here. He doesn't have to leave his house. She doesn't have to leave her house. Like, that was one of the, I would say, good things about it. And also, remote learning for kids. That was pretty good. They figured that out. So there were things that we probably were doing wrong that it forced us to correct. So like there's a little bit of silver lining there, but overall it just changed the scape of things.
It did. I mean, even sitting in the fire academy at the end of 2021, I think I said, I remember the captain of the firehouse, the captain of the training academy. He was just like, this is going to change our lives forever. And even there, we were wearing masks in the college because we did it through MVCC. And it was just like, you're going to wear masks for the rest of your life. And it was just like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, like, fuck that. And it's just like, I mean, even some places still like they have the right to tell you, like, just put a mask on. And it's like, fuck, all right. Like, you feel like you're being inconvenienced, but it's like, it's not going to fucking kill me to just put a mask on. If it makes you feel better, I'll throw it on, whatever.
Yeah. It's usually like doctor's offices and things of that nature that I've seen still mandate it.
Yeah, and you just get like that one person who's like, I'm not doing it. And I'm like, dude, can you I just want to fucking get a checkup. Can we just not do this in the lobby right now? Like, you want to wear mine? What do you want me to do here?
It's crazy too. Like, I put that thing on like at a doctor's office, whatever. And it's just like, I can't believe I did this for 12 hours of a day.
Yeah,
like,
dude.
Yeah.
That's insane.
I mean, you got to think about this too. Like, when we were in Kuwait and that came down, they were like, don't go near each other. So like we had to stand in line to get our food because everything else was closed. So every single person, we're going to the DFACs, the dining facilities. And the lines were outrageous. I had to wait like sometimes up to an hour just to get food. Jesus. And it was just like, I don't know. It's just like, that's just, if you were going to eat, you stand in the line.
Yeah.
And it's funny now. I was just thinking about shit we'd say on here. And it was like, dude, I could wait in a line for anything. Like, I have that superpower. You go to I don't know, just a convenience store and some dude's doing the lottery tickets.
Yeah.
And it's just, you hear Karen behind you and she's like, this is fucking ridiculous. And it's like, dude, I waited an hour for some meals sometimes. Like, I can wait 5 more minutes. Like, it's going to be all right. But it's just, some people just don't have that superpower.
No, dude, people are just impatient.
Yeah.
Like, people were impatient before COVID, and then like, now that everything opened back up, like right when everything opened back up and people were allowed back in fucking public, you were like, this was better when the roads were fucking dead. And I wasn't dealing with this asshole over here.
Yeah. See, that's another thing I missed is like, I remember coming home from Ukraine and I mean, I learned to drive stick in Ukraine. It was great. Because that's all they have for like civilian vehicles over there, were stick. And they were like, well, you have to go train these people and all we have is a stick. And I was like, well, I guess I'm gonna figure out how to fucking drive stick. Now I drive stick every day. It's fucking great. But like, I remember coming home and there was traffic and I lost my fucking mind. It took me an hour to get from like the ShopRite on Central Ave because my mom moved to Colony. And I obviously lived with mom because I didn't want to pay an apartment to the Northway. It took me an hour. There was construction. I fucking panicked. I was like, I gotta get the fuck off Central Ave. And it just like I looped around, and then I finally got back to the construction after thinking I was going to avoid it. I didn't. And then I was like, all right, I guess I'm going through it. And it was wild. So there's a lot of things, and you don't even realize it too. You're over there, you get into a groove, you start doing your thing, and just like a job here, right? Like you get good at it, and they're like, oh, time to go home. And you're like, at first you're like, but I'm doing so good. Like I'm making so much change.
Yeah.
And then you're like, all right, fuck this. It's the next guy's problem. But yeah, dude. And then the ending of Kuwait was crazy too, because one of my roommates, because we slept 4 to a room, which was actually really nice. Some of the lower guys would sleep like they do bunk beds, and they have these shanty towns. They make their own, like people call them jack shacks, and they are like, you want your own space, you make your own space, and they did. But we had 4 people in a room, and one of the guys got COVID. And dude, they had these fucking hounds over there that would call you if they got word that someone like that you like thought about had COVID, and they're like, hey, did you talk to this guy? And I was like, no, don't even know the fucking guy. They're like, yeah, we see here that you room with them. I'm like, nope, no, I have a little with myself. And then they're like, okay. They're like, when was the last time you talked to him? I was like, I don't know, like 2 weeks ago. We work separate shifts, like just lying through the whole thing. And I'm a terrible liar. They're like, okay. They're like, yeah, we don't think you're going to have COVID, but just in case you're going to quarantine. And I'm like, motherfucker, this was like 2 weeks before we're about to leave. I had a big part in leaving, like in charge of the containers. Like I monitored the flights. So everyone every day was like, hey, we get a flight home yet? And I was like, nope, not yet. Yeah. And then they put my ass into a fucking internment camp, quite literally. Like the living conditions were horrible, but it was like tent city, like GP mediums, like you'd see in a movie, bigger tents, bunk beds, and you tested halfway through. It was 14 days. If you had COVID, you only quarantined for 10 days. And then if you didn't, they put you in there for 14 days because that was the magic number. And then on day 7, you tested. And on the last day, you tested. And dude, if you popped hot, start the cycle over. Yeah. If you popped hot, you go into the 10 days. But like if you were on day 14, you're like, I'm getting out of this little fucking shithole today. Nah, sorry, 10 more days in the box for you.
So you're looking at fucking a month pretty much if you
out at the end. Yeah. And then I'm looking at my watch like, yo, flight's going home. Like I gotta get the hell out of here. And it was tight butthole. But so I didn't get it there. But dude, like it's craziest thing. I was walking in circles. I think it was a 30, like 1 out of 32 of a mile. I can't say that in like math terms, but so dude, I would just walk around the perimeter because there was nothing to do. There was no internet. Like, dude, it was like I lost my fucking mind in there. And I ran a 5K in there for a t-shirt at like 5 a.m. because I still woke up and worked out. Yeah. And it was just like, this is fucking miserable. And then you were always the last to get food. It was just miserable. Anyway, didn't have it. Made the flight home. I was like, fuck yeah. It was like a week before Thanksgiving. I ended up eating Thanksgiving on a bench in Texas. And I was still like, cool. I think this was early December at this point, right? Yeah, Thanksgiving, early December. And then then they test you to get on the plane to go home. Yeah. All right, cool. Feeling good. And then we went through our medical checkout in Texas, like just to make sure the deployment didn't fuck you up. And I got the sniffles, and I was like, oh God. Same thing. I was like, shut your fucking mouth, man. Flight's going fucking back to Albany in 2 days. Shut your fucking mouth. And I'm like getting sick, and I could feel it. And I felt just weakness. And I was like, fuck, but I already tested. So I was like, all right, cool. Just fucking shut your mouth. Yeah. And then went through the whole medical outing. I'm on the bus ready to get back. This is the very last thing to get home. And the sergeant major, he's like one of the top enlisted guys, goes, is McKay on this bus? And I'm like, fuck. And like, no one had to say anything. Like everyone else was confused. They're like, why is he getting picked? And I was like, fuck, dude, my test came back positive. And it did, dude. And then I had to spend another 10 days in Texas and put me to like a get home date of December 10th. So I was like, all right, whatever. Fucking tag, you're it. Sat in another room. Dude, it was a nice room this time, actually. Like my own room. Got the symptoms. It was crazy. I remember like taking a shower and like the shampoo. I squeezed the shampoo. And I was like, I can't fucking smell this, man.
Ugh.
This is Head and Shoulders. Like everyone smells Head and Shoulders. I was like, this is fucking nuts. And I ended up getting home like 10 days before Christmas. And I was like, just fucking let me get a break.
Yeah, dude. Just let me fucking be here.
I just want to do nothing now.
Am I actually here right now before anything else fucking comes up, dude?
Yeah. But it's kind of crazy, right? This was actually when I really started getting into Twitch because I got home and I was just like, same thing. Everyone was on Christmas vacation. My mom was a teacher at the time. She's now retired. My little brother, not so little brother, he was in high school. So he was on his Christmas break and everyone was just home and it was nice. And then come the day after New Year's, they were like, sorry, you got to go back to work. And I was like, well, I don't know what to do with my hands now. And I started getting into Twitch and started watching like some of the huge names like Swag, Nick Merckx, things like that. And then they kind of promoted other little people and, I'd go check them out. Most, 9 times out of 10, you're like, well, I like the bigger guys better. There's a reason why they're so big.
Yeah.
And I ended up finding one dude, Super Evan, and every time I see that dude go live now, I just fucking watch him because he's cool. And young dude, like kind of a bro, bets on sports, like it's like if this dude was at the bar, I'd want to be his friend, I'd buy him a beer.
Exactly.
So and it trickles to other people. And that's one day I'm kind of hoping it's like that. But for right now, like the whole point of it is just to hang out. Like the fact that we rekindled a relationship through this, like who knew I'd be sitting here doing a podcast with you? And it's awesome. You get a lot of joy out of it.
Yeah, dude, it's funny because I did the solo episode yesterday where I kind of just like went in about me a little bit because I've noticed in like every episode I just breeze over things. I don't really talk about me. So it's like, all right, no, I don't have a guest. I'll just do it. And I was like, I was promoting our episode because I knew we were recording today. So I was talking about it and I was like, it's funny. I've known this dude since middle school, but we weren't really friends in middle school. I was like, and then again, like my perception of me in like middle school and everything, I was like, I was a nice kid, but I was like obnoxious. I was like, if you're focused on like school or getting things done, don't hang out with me because I'm just there to fucking talk and socialize. Like, I'm not gonna start trouble with anybody. I liked everybody. I got along with everybody.
Yeah.
But like, I had a set group of friends because they were all like fucking Jake Taylor. They're all psychopaths.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, I'm a psychopath. Like, these are my people. Everybody else, I was like, you're high and by. And then you were talking about Ukraine right before you deployed, I think is when the remaster came. I think that's when you and Zach started playing.
Yeah, it was. Because I think that's what I played when I got home and I was fucking pumped.
Yeah, dude, you like disappeared and I was like, where's McKay? And Zach's like, he's in Ukraine. I was like, what the fuck's he doing in Ukraine? I forgot. I'm like, oh, let me put 2 and 2 together here. I was like, oh, that's why he's in Ukraine. All right. But like, that's when it started. And then I don't know. It just started up. We just started talking. Yeah. Play video games together. You started streaming and I started doing this. It just kind of clicked.
Yeah. It made sense. It was funny. I think it was Iseto. He was talking. He was like, I don't really remember how we meet. Just one day you were at my door. And when I was listening to that, I was like, how the fuck did I meet Chris Pickett? And I'm like, he's always been there. Like, I've always known him. But like, I can't pinpoint that spot. Like,
dude, I just show up.
Yeah. And then I was like, and there was a point I was like, did he graduate from Cahos? I was like, he must have, right? And then in that podcast, you were talking about how you graduated from Troy. And I'm like, okay, I guess that makes sense. Because then like one day you weren't there. And it was just like, okay. And then like, playing Call of Duty one day, you're like, oh, Pickett's going to play. I'm like, oh, cool. I haven't talked to Pickett or whatever. And then we're fucking right back at it. And then, and then I'm like, well, Ukraine sounds cooler than fucking Cahos, New York. And then same thing. Go to Ukraine, come back. And I think that's when the titty blasting. Yeah, that's when the titty blasting.
That's definitely when it started.
And and same thing. Just fucking packed my bags one day and up and left again.
Yeah. It's just funny because like that's literally how everybody like said, oh, I knew he was just one of the first people when I went to Berg, but I can't pinpoint it. Lenny, can't pinpoint. Like Jake's the only one that I could pinpoint because I didn't like him at first. Like, dude, in 6th grade, me and him hated each other because he sat at like a table with people and they would do weird shit. And I was like, these kids are fucking weird. And then in 7th grade, I was like, I'm fucking weird. What am I doing? Like, I need those kids.
Someone yells at you while you're at that table and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
fuck. I turned into the villain.
It's fucking me, dude. But yeah, no, I left Cohoes in 9th grade. So like I finished middle school with everybody.
Okay.
And that's when I just like disappeared.
Yeah. High school is weird too, because like Cohoes, it's just one middle school, one high school. So you know everyone.
Yeah.
But it's just different. It's a little bigger, I guess.
Yeah. No,
you don't really keep tabs on certain people. And
no, I did 1 year at Cohoes High, actually. I did 1 year.
Okay.
My 9th grade I did there. But it was weird. Cohoes is just weird in general. You know, even if you don't know a person, somebody says the name.
You know.
Like, oh, I know him. Like you were playing with somebody and they're like, is he related to Todd? And I was like, I don't fucking answer that. Like that's not a good thing. To anybody that says like, usually it's like, oh, Chris is your brother to Todd. If somebody says, are you related to Todd? I'm like, fuck, that's not good. Like,
yeah, I was saying the same thing, man. Dude. It's never the good people are you related to.
Yeah, dude.
I got in the firehouse and the senior guys who are obviously like my parents' age, right?
Yeah.
They're like, you related to Matt? And I'm like, dude, like I want to say no right now.
Yeah, dude.
It's
like,
not good.
I just want to lie.
Yeah. No, actually, my last name's Mackey. His is McKay.
It happens a lot. People always ask me that.
Yeah, dude. And that's kind of a crazy thing too, even just being in the firehouse in the, the home city. It's like, this might be weird. Like you think you know everyone. And there's only been like maybe 2 patients. And I'm talking, we get anywhere from 2 to 7 a day, sometimes 10, right? Like, and there's only been 2 that I've really known, like even just by name.
Yeah.
And one of them was, I think a little younger than us. I don't even know if he remembered me, right? But like same thing, just knew him by name.
Yep.
He was in the crowd that you hanged out at one place one time. You probably talked to him for a little bit. But that's it, really. I mean, Cohoes is kind of big. It's like 20,000 people here. So I guess that makes sense. But
yeah, realistically for like us, go ahead.
I was just going to say they're in every crack and crevice that you could think of too. Like,
I know.
You think you know a city until you're a firefighter and it's like, this place exists.
Yeah, dude. I run parts for my job and I'll see something. It's like, oh, the rate goes. I'm like, all right, cool. The rate goes. I'm looking, it's like near Guptill's and I'm like, dude, that's Latham. Get that.
Yeah. Well, no, it's crazy you say that because that's all Cohoes addresses.
Yeah.
Like, there's a development across from the dump now.
Yeah.
And that's all Cohoes addresses. And I was like, oh, that'd be a good place to live. Like it's out of the city. Because it is kind of weird, like working here and living here.
Yeah.
Just kind of like, well, if my house is on fire, all my friends are going to come spray water on it. And they're like, I don't really fucking want that. Yeah. And then give me the hose, putting out my own shit. Right. Like that's in my mind, or even someone else's house. But yeah, so I was looking up there, but it's crazy. Even, I work up at the track too. And my boss up there was a Cohoes firefighter. He lives in Cohoes and he lives up like near Capcom in Latham. I was like, hey,
it's fucking weird. I was like, I guess that's Cohoes. My whole life I would have been like, oh yeah, I'm up in Latham. But
yeah, and they're just Cohoes addresses. Like we don't respond to anything north of Baker.
Right.
So
that's all weird. Colin E would respond.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that's what it should be. Damn it.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing for like Cohoes cops, because like we have people that we know that became police officers in Cohoes, and I'm like, if one of these guys fucking pulls me over, dude, I'm gonna get real pissed off.
Yeah, dude,
let me go, dude.
Even more so being a firefighter, because if they need EMS for a call, they call us. So you show up on scene, and the police are like, well, I can't arrest this guy, and he's dying. So like, here you go. And we do it to them too, I guess, in some occasions. Like if there's a crackhead that's going out of control, we'll be like, yep, I don't have handcuffs. These guys do. So we got the better end of it, right? But like, and I think about it all the time, just driving through Cohoes, because I do it a lot. And it's like, if one of these fuckers pulls me over, I'd be like, you know what? Do your own EMS next time. Fuck you.
Yeah, I don't have that. I'm just like, you remember me from middle school? You know?
Yeah,
You're like, yeah, you're a dick here.
yeah. Got a present for you.
Yeah, I remember you from behind U.S. Food Mart, you little dirtbag. It's like, stop, dude.
Dude, yeah. I was never in the U.S. Food Mart crowd, but it's kind of
man.
sad to see that there isn't that sort of crowd now. Like,
there's really not. Like,
and dude, it's crazy what like kids do nowadays. It's scary almost, especially seeing it from a firefighter side. Like, they're like degenerates. I don't even want to say some of the things because then like
yeah,
14-year-old nephew is gonna hear it and be like, "Oh fuck, I'm going to do this shit now."
Yeah, dude.
So like we'll pause on that, but
yeah, but it's true. Like even when, because like I wasn't in like I would show up to U.S. Food. I mean, me and Jake had a mustache in like the 8th grade, so he was able to buy beer at the store there. So like me and him would just show up, and like we weren't really getting into trouble with anybody else. We were just kind of keeping our trouble within us.
mm-hmm.
And like now that's not the case. Like kids are just fucking ruthless now.
Yeah. They're mean to each other.
Like that. Yeah.
They don't even hang out like I kind of envy that US Food Mart group, right? Dude. Like I could probably rattle off 15 of them right now. Like my brother used to hang out down there. And it's just like, dude, you guys made memories down there that like you'll never forget. And it's you don't drive around on the fire truck and see kids hanging out like that anymore. Like God knows what they're fucking doing. Probably ain't good.
Dude.
Yeah.
No, we couldn't like get off the bike path. Like that's just where we were. Like that just you go to the bike path, go down the little path. Like that's just you could always find at least 5 kids there unplanned.
And that's the thing, right? Like you just show up there and it's like, oh cool, someone's here.
Yeah.
I guess
you always
out.
Knew there'd be at least 3 people there. Whoever it was, there was 3 people or more there at any given time. And it was sweet. You're like, I didn't have plans and I'm just gonna fucking walk with you guys and you guys are gonna accept it. Like, that's all it was.
Yeah. And they were most of the time.
Yeah, most
it
of
also didn't help. Like the reason my brother probably hung out up there was because he had a bike, dude. He was always on wheels, bike, skateboard, name it.
Yeah.
And my ass just walked everywhere. And we lived all the way on the other side of Cahoes. So it was like, I'm not walking all the way down there. No shot in hell. Not a fucking shot.
Yeah, your brother was always on a bike.
What's that?
Your brother was always on a bike.
Oh, he was nuts.
Riding around.
He's nuts. He's still nuts, dude. I mean, I think the most recent thing is snowboarding. But I mean, he works like a dog now. But even snowboarding, he won't snowboard for like 2 years and then he hops on it and he's doing crazy things on it. It's like, bro, I could barely ride my ski. I tried snowboarding. My ass could not take it.
Dude, I walked down Jiminy.
Yeah.
I walked. Dude. I kept falling and my glasses were fogging up. I said, fuck this. I unstrapped and just put it on my shoulder. I walked down the thing. Dudes on snowmobiles, like the rescue team, you think they'd be like, hey, you need a ride. They're just fucking looking. And I'm like, dude, you're not supposed to walk down this. Like, this isn't normal. Help me out.
Yeah, I'm in distress.
This isn't good. Dude, what do I got to do? You want me to snap my neck here? Like, give me a damn ride.
Last time I'll ski. You know, if I have a day off, I'm not like, let's go skiing. But my buddy lives down in the city, and last year he was like, dude, snowboarding is the best ever. I'm like, dude, snowboarding is not hard. Like, I think, you know, you gotta do a little bit more practice. He went out, bought all the gear. Last time we went, dude, he didn't walk it down. We begged him to walk it down. No, he did the 5-second fall, 5-second fall all the way down Jiminy to the point where, like, I mean, I was trying to be a good friend. Like, dude, I'm gonna sit here and wait for you. Like, if not, you'll probably just die here. And he was like, no, leave me here. Leave me here. And I was like, no, dude, I can't leave you here. And then eventually we got to where we can like see the whatever the fucking thing's called.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, bro, like there's enough people here. Like if you die here, someone's gonna call. I'm fucking out. Dude, it was painful. It was like a 2-hour ordeal. Yeah,
dude. I was with my aunt's husband at the time, and he was just fucking cruising, and I'm like, nobody's gonna check on me. He's just gonna leave me. Snowmobiles. This is it. Like once I hit my last tree, I was like, I'm done, dude. Like that could have been way worse. That tree caught me. I was like, I can't see. Shit's fogging up. This fucking called cat crap. That shit's not working.
Yeah, because the goggles have been sitting in your basement for years.
I've got goggles, glasses. I can't see out of either. Like I'm done, dude. I'm just walking it, and I did. I walked all the way down. and nobody cared. Like he didn't check. He was at the bottom. He's like, "You good?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm good. It's been fucking I don't know how long, but I'm good." Like, dude, bring me home. Get me out of this shit.
Yep. That's how it ended. Get me the fuck out of here. I'm like, all right. Someone had work in the morning. I was like, all right, I'll hop on.
Yeah.
I'll hop on that car ride and get out of here.
Yeah, dude. Never again. Like if my son wants a snowboard, he can go to like that. There's like a ski club in schools, I think, still.
Yeah.
Go do that, dude.
Yeah.
I can't do it.
That's one of the things they never promoted. And if they did, my mom was always like, "Oh, it's too expensive." I'm
Yeah,
like, okay.
I didn't know about ski club until Lansingburg, actually, because like a friend of mine was in it, and I was like, "What the fuck? You guys just go ski?" And he's like, "Yeah, I mean snowboard." It's like it's just a group of us and out of school bus, and we go snowboard. I'm like,
Yeah.
I could have used that.
Yeah.
Instead, I'm walking down mountains that I don't belong walking down. So
it's a fucking dope deal too. I think they pay for it, right? Which is probably why I'm like a startup for skiing and snowboarding is like at least $1,000, probably more.
Yeah. Dude.
So that's probably why my mom was like, "Nope, you'll get hurt. Can't do that." Okay.
Yeah.
And I just accepted it, right? But looking back on it, that's what my brother did. And it was just like, yep, get on a bus. They drive you out there, ski, snowboard for however long, and you go home.
Yeah, dude. Like the sounds pretty fucking sweet when you say it.
Yeah.
Not for me.
Yeah.
Couldn't do it. I sucked. I wasn't trying to learn. I was like, oh, you just hop on, you lift your heel, you lift your toes.
Yeah.
It's like, should be easy.
Yeah.
I had it for like 8 seconds at the longest, and then I was just like, bang, and I was like, that's it, dude. This is terrible.
For me.
I'm gonna ride like a skateboard again.
Dude.
That was easier.
And it's always true, right? You always go with the experienced friend. They're the one who gets you into it. They're like, we're gonna go down this easy hill, and you end up on a black mountain or a black diamond. Dude. And they're like, this is how you learn. And it's like, no, this is how you fucking die.
This is how you die, dude.
They did that shit to me, and I realized it halfway up, and I like skirted off and went onto a blue square. And they were so pissed. They're like, dude, you'll never learn. I was like, yeah, but I'm going to fucking breathe tomorrow. And I did. I struggled all the way down. I think that was the one time I snowboarded. I was like, this ain't for me, dog. Nope. Pack it up.
Nope.
Pack it up.
I can ride a bike. I can ride a skateboard. Like I can't, this whole thing on snow, I just can't figure it out. And I'm good on it. I'm willing to admit I can't do it. I sold it like the next day to somebody I knew. I was like, dude, here you go. It's got stickers on it. It looks fucking cool.
Yep.
Like it's all yours. That I don't want it.
I don't want it. I'm only charging you half of what I paid for it.
Yeah, dude, this thing's expensive as hell. Take care of it. Or don't. I don't care.
Yeah. Just get it the fuck out of here.
Oh man. So obviously you have a million military stories.
Yeah.
Firehouse, do you really get stories from there? Because I mean, that's more like, I mean, you're really like focused on the rescuing part of things.
Dude, yeah. Like, I mean, fire-wise, I've probably been in 5 fires.
Yeah.
And of those 5, I think 3 of them, like the fire was pretty beat by the time I got there.
Yeah.
I was the backup to the fighter. So fire-wise, not many. I got a really cool story. My best fire was actually in Water of Elite because we do mutual aid for them.
Yep.
And I was working with my now retired captain, and dude is a nut. Like the dude lives and breathes firefighting. He knows everything, like unreal, like probably the most knowledge dude in his like field that I've ever met. And when we were driving there, he was egging me on. He's like, you drive like 2 old dudes. Fuck. And I was like, I just want to get there safely at this point. Dude, it was so worth it because like we got there and we had all our stuff on already. And he's like running to the person in charge, and then we're grabbing packs and stuff. And he's like, grab tools, let's go. And I was like, all right, we're going to work right now. And we put the tools down, and we're like, where'd he go? And he pops up behind me, and he was like, let's go. We're getting in the bucket. And the bucket's on the end of a ladder, right?
Yep.
Like you go up in it, obviously. And next thing I know, I'm in this bucket with him, my partner, and we're going to the roof to vent the roof, right? Like as a firefighter, when there's a fire, kind of think of it, it's just a box, right? And when you have all that heat trapped in there, it could cause explosions. I mean, there's something called a flashover where the smoke gets so hot, it gets so hot in there that everything just bursts into flame because everything's got like a flame point and a melting point. So you go to the roof and you cut a hole in the roof to release that heat. And we went up there. My buddy actually took the saw. That's another awesome part of the job. Like we have chainsaws and like round rotor saws. He took the rotor saw and cut a nice hole. I mean, this guy's a new guy too. And then the smoke started pouring out. And I was like, cool, like he did it. Like we trained on this a lot and he actually did it. And then it was just like 0 to 100. Like the heat changed. And it was so unbelievable because you know, you hear all these stories up until the point you do it. And I'm holding on to his pack, his air pack, and just in case he falls off the roof. Like I didn't think that would help him, but like in my mind, it was like if this dude slips, I got something.
Yeah.
And then like almost as fast as that heat changed, it burst into flames. And I'm like eating flames. But our gear is so good. Like even our masks have a melting point of like 800 degrees, I think, which is pretty fucking hot.
Yeah.
But he's still on the roof and there's flames shooting out. So like at this point, I'm tugging him, but he realizes it too. He gets in there. The captain's kind of controlling the bucket, and he's a fucking nut job. Like I said, he's like, get in, get in, get in. And I get in, my partner gets in, we're all in. Great. But now the flames, it's pouring over the bucket, and the bucket's relatively safe. It's got like its own safety properties. And he's like, we're moving. And the flames are just kicking. And then we finally get up and go, and, you know, it cools down and it's like, holy fuck. And you look back at it and you see the flames. He's like, all right, we're going to shoot water into the front now. So we get into that position, and I've never done this before in the bucket, but there's two, we call them master streams. They just pump tons of water out to the point where like fire has no chance.
Yeah.
And I'm fiddle fucking with that. And then we finally get it. We're shooting it through a window, and then you kind of see those flames die down. And he's like, all right, we're going to cut another hole. And I'm like, fuck yes. I'm like, dude, it's my turn this time.
Yeah.
And we go to like the other side of the roof. And I stepped down off the bucket like he was going to do, 1 foot on the bucket, 1 foot on the roof. And I'm stepping. And I'm like, this ain't right. It was super spongy, like super, like the fire did damage.
Yeah.
And so he's starting to hand me the saw, and I'm like, Cap, I don't think this is safe. He's like, all right, back in. And he grabs what we call a pike. It's like pretty much like a spear. And he starts fiddle fucking with the roof. And I was like, can I do it? And he was like, absolutely. Hands me in. And I'm just tearing the fucking roof apart with this spear.
Yeah.
And then finally, like we call him incident commanders, the guys in charge. He's like, all right, wrap it up, bring it on down. We're good. Fire's out pretty much. And I was like, dude, that's like, you hear a lot of stories. I'm like, dude, I don't know if there's ever going to be a fire that tops that. It was just because he knew what he had to do. So much experience. He got us to the right place, right time. I mean, I got us fucking there. Like, dude, blaring down Saratoga Street in a fire truck. You're going through every red light. You're like, dude, one of these knuckleheads ain't going to hear you. You're just going to fucking slam them.
Yeah.
So like, but yeah. And then we finished up, and I always call my mom after a fire. That's like, they told me to do that. I'm like, well, I'd probably do that anyway. Let her know I'm safe. Because you always see about it on Facebook first.
Yeah.
And then we have the infamous Sidewinder.
Yep.
And I call my mom. She's freaking out. She's like, I saw there was a fire. Were you at the fire? I was like, yeah. She's like, Sidewinder was live, and there was a firefighter on the roof, and he was like, the roof is spongy and he's going to fall through and die. And I was like, oh, that was me. And she was like, never do that again. And I was like, it was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And I mean, even when there's fire calls, obviously she'll see it. She's like, you're not going, right? And you know, unfortunately, like even 9 times out of 10, if there's a fire in Volite, like we only work every 4th day.
Yeah.
So we only send 3 guys there, and then they'll go there and help out. But everyone else maybe calls back to our firehouse to cover our city. And there's just not a lot of fires. So fire, like that's my best story fire-wise, I think. My first fire was crazy. We get phone calls. They're like, show up, report to duty. And you get there, you try to get there fast because, you know, they knock down the fire pretty fast. And that one I got too fast, and I got to the scene, and it was pretty much knocked down, but we do overhaul. So after the fire's knocked down, you stop seeing fire. You got to look in the walls and shit. So like, again, best job in the world. I'm in this person's house, like smashing walls and like blowing windows out. And you blow the windows out for our safety so you can get out of them if need be.
Yeah,
but
need be, yeah.
The wall, like most buildings are built to where there's no fire breaks in the walls, because back then they built them from the basement up in the frames, and the fire just can go all the way to the roof. So you tear down the walls where you think the fire started and, you know, hit hot spots there. So it's a ton of work physically. Like I stay in pretty good shape myself. I mean, I wrestled in high school, played football, but like nothing compares to the work of a firefighter. I mean, on top of that, I mean, all the gear you're wearing, even the military, right? Like nothing's covering your face in the military. You got that mask on, you got the pack on. That's like your lifeline. So it's definitely like the craziest thing you can ever think of and the best adrenaline rush. Obviously, I'm a adrenaline junkie, just talking about all the shit I've done, but it's like there's nothing like it. Even the other day we had a fire and they knocked it down pretty quick, but same thing. I got there quick. They're like, we need people at the scene. I didn't even ask. I just jumped in the car and got there, put my mask on, and then got right inside, started taking down the ceiling or the ceiling on the second floor to make sure there wasn't any fire in there. And then there was some windows broken out, whether it was from firefighters just going through and venting or just the heat will blow out a window. And I finished taking out the window with a pig. It's like a sledgehammer with a spike on it. It's like the greatest tool ever. And it was just like, just make sure there's no more fire. So that's kind of like the ass end of a fire. Like you want to be the guy, like every firefighter wants to be the guy on the hose hitting the fire. And the only time I've really done that this far was at the academy. But I mean, dude, that pig is fucking nuts. I've taken that thing. We had an old desk, like a pretty nice built, like old wooden desk in the basement. And we had to get rid of it. And we were like, we ain't fucking carrying this thing up. And then they were like, well, if it's in pieces, we can. And then I kind of am leading the charge on this project. They're like, here, you want to hit it? I was like, fuck yeah, I do. Dude, one swing with this pig and the desk was just in pieces, like completely disassembled. And I was like, that was fucking awesome. So, I mean, there's, tons of stories. I mean, even EMS wise, like, we see overdoses. We see, I mean, people die and they call 911 and then I'm the guy who fucking shows up at your door, which if you know me is a really fucking scary thing, but it's not at the same time. It's work, I guess. It's, there's steps we take, there's things we do as EMTs. And then we don't have any medics, which is the next level of field work. And they come in, they can push a lot of drugs and stuff, but that initial first care is critical. So even just doing CPR on people's huge adrenaline rush.
Yeah.
But I mean, EMS calls range from everything, right? Like stub your toe to like I'm not breathing.
I'm dying.
Yeah. And unfortunately, same thing. 90% of the time it's I stubbed my toe. I want to go to the hospital. And it's like, okay, like that makes my life easy. I just have to do paperwork on you. And I'm not shoving something in your nose.
Right.
But it's work. I mean, people like even besides EMS, people have called us for their basements flooding. That's a big one actually. And we pump them out. If there's a tree that took down a wire, they call us. We have a tool that makes sure it's not a power line. And then we call whoever we need to. The cats, there's always a fucking cat in distress somewhere. Haven't had a cat in a tree yet. But there's, speaking of cats, mine's fucking going outside. But my very first cat call was a cat stuck behind a bathtub, and it wasn't our station that got dispatched for. And I was like, dude, I want to go to that. How the fuck does a cat get stuck behind a bathtub? And all I just pictured was, and the new guy was on too. Like it was his first day. And I was like, that motherfucker goes in there, chops up a fucking bathtub. I'm gonna be pissed.
Yeah.
It ended up like, I don't even know. The cat ran out on its own. Like the cat always runs out on its own. We've got the cat stuck in an oven. Same thing. I'm like, dude, if these guys go, I wasn't dispatched to that one, but I was like, if these guys go and like destroy an oven looking for a cat, because we have tons of ways we could destroy an oven.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking of all these things sitting in the station, like fucking throwing pens in a cup, like what the fuck, man, lifting up. I mean, and it's like that. I think that person was just like high or something, and they like their cat was taking a nap somewhere.
Fucking hilarious.
So it is. It's a lot of like crazy things.
That's like that's what I was telling, because like we get questions and they're like, what's as crazy as like fire. And I was like, dude, he's probably had like a handful of fires. And I was like,
Yeah,
dude,
it's not New York
most
City.
of his most of his job is like just attending a call with somebody. Like,
I'm a glorified old person picker upper.
yeah.
There's a lot of old people. They fall. They can't get up on their own. They call 911. We go. We
Yeah.
pick them up. They go to the hospital if they want. You know, we do our assessment. But even for like broken bones and stuff, like there's not much we could do. We just immobilize it. I tell you, like the craziest stories is like when you hear like a 2-year-old come over, right? And you could probably relate to this, right? Like as a parent, that's your like sole purpose of living now. And it's even I hear that I don't have kids, and it's just like, holy fuck, you're really on your high horse for that one. I mean, there was one morning, I think it was 4 a.m., 6 a.m. I was just telling someone this story. There was a 2-day-old CPR, like cardiac arrest. And I'm like, I've never seen like I was working with the senior man and the retired captain at the time. So I knew I was in like, I knew I couldn't fuck anything up and let a 2-day-old child die. But at the same time, it was like a game, 4 a.m. Right. Like, so, I mean, that just goes to show why I can't sleep there. But yeah, it's crazy. Like there's a lot of kid stuff. I've had a handful of like under 3-year-olds, and it's usually not great, right?
No, I mean, if it's that age, like it can't really be great.
No, I mean, and then like you just like you can't help but think about what you're gonna walk into.
Yeah.
And luckily, like I haven't had to deal with anything serious up to this point. Normally, most of those calls have worked themselves out, like choking, kids choke, right? Or they fall. And like parents freak out and call 911. I'd probably do the same thing. But yeah, it's crazy. We had like she was like 4 to 6 age, and she had a bead stuck up her nose. Like, I don't know, like you make bracelets out of beads.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, that ain't good. Like, and we probably have to do something, but I don't know what the fuck to do.
Right.
And I was pretty new at this point, right? I think this was last summer.
Yeah.
And same thing, like if there's a serious call, like the officer goes, and the officers always have like 10 plus years, like they've pretty much seen a lot of this shit.
Yeah.
So you like, there's a comfort zone there just being new around the job. And then my lieutenant, he's now the captain. He took over for the captain who retired. He put a BVM, we call it. It's like a breathing mask with a bag. He put it over her mouth and had her plug her nose and was like, on the count of 3, I want you to just like close your throat, and I'm gonna blow this fucking thing out. And sure as shit, so he put it over her mouth. She plugged her nose. He goes 1, 2, 3. He squeezed the bag, dude. The bead shot out like a missile. And I'm sitting there with like less than a year on the job. I'm like, holy fuck!
Like, what the fuck?
That fucking worked. The best thing was that it worked. But and then we looked for the bead and we couldn't find it. I think the guy, one of the guys, found it in his pocket or something. Like it was crazy. Like, but these are just the things, man. And I do have a lot of fire stories. Most of them have to be provoked to remember them. I was writing them down for the first few months, but same thing. My mom's like, "What happened? What happened on the ship?"
Yeah.
And I mean, I like to think I could tell the story pretty well. So it's like, I'll come back and she's like, "What happened? What happened?" And I'm like, "Boy, do I got a story for you. Get your tea."
Yeah, dude. No, I mean, even Theo, he under 3 years old. He's allergic to like a bunch of shit. And like, we didn't know. So like, he passed his skin test, no problem. So we're like, okay, cool. He has no allergies. First time he tried like peanut butter. He was just like, Benadryl, go to his doctor, make sure he's good. He was fine. But he had like a bowl of scrambled eggs. And he's had eggs like baked into cookies and shit by this time. And it was fine. So we were like, okay, he's not allergic to eggs. There's no way. And like, dude just started puking, like super sick. I hand him to my wife. I go into the bathroom for like 2 seconds. I'm just like, had to take a quick piss. I come back. She's on the phone with 911, giving him an EpiPen. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. Like, if he didn't have that peanut allergy that we found out about and got that EpiPen, like, it's way worse than. So, like, I'm glad we did the peanut thing first because it set us up. But, like, ambulance ride, overnight hospital stay, like, the whole 9 yards. And, like, he's only, like I said, he's under 3 years old by that time. He'll be 4 in October. So, like, it's scary for us, even as like parents, to be like, Jesus Christ. And my in-laws live next door and they see an ambulance come up and it's what happened. And it's like, like, why didn't you tell us? I'm like, I'm dealing with a 2-year-old. Like,
Right.
he was priority. I'll let everybody know at like, we got to make sure he's good. Like, there's no way I could just flag you guys down at that point.
Yeah. And it's a point to bring up to that, right? Like people who call 911, it's their worst day ever.
Yeah.
And for a firefighter, it's a Tuesday or whatever.
Yeah, you're right.
So it is hard, right? Because we do get a lot of calls that don't warrant 911. We get a lot of calls that do warrant 911, but it's not life threatening.
Right.
And we get dispatched. Usually the dispatch has pretty good information, right? Like even the age, right, will make us fucking light a fire under our ass or like fucking mosey into the truck because it's the same person who's called every day for the last 4 days. So it's like it's the end of the world for someone. For us, it's another Tuesday.
Right.
We do that. I mean, that's the other great thing too. Like if we do have a serious call, we'll come back to the station. We'll talk about it, which is huge, especially for mental health. I won't even go down that avenue, but like, and firefighters have a real fucked up sense of humor. Like mine was fucked up before I became a firefighter.
Yeah.
And then it was just like, well, that was a dead person. So like, I'm either going to laugh about this or it's going to eat me alive. Right.
Yeah, you
like,
have to.
I mean, that's just reality and people don't see that every day. But yeah, when you talk about it, it's kind of like, and then it's like, that person was really sick. Like they made the right choice to call 911. And then sometimes it's like, they just, I don't know. Some people like going to the hospital. I feel like it's weird.
Yeah,
I mean, we have a lady who I think just needs a ride to Albany.
Yeah.
So she calls 911 and is like, I got a toothache. And they just get a free ride down to
wherever. Fuck it. Yeah. Just
I mean, it's they're playing their cards right.
But yeah, no, that is true. I mean, anything that helps mental health in that aspect. Like right now, I don't think of it as therapeutic, but you were talking about like how you would write down every fire story. Like I got into this pretty heavy this week is when I started it. I'll do like 3 pages every morning.
Yeah.
And like it just gets me up. Like you get your coffee and you're like, all right, 3 pages, let me write them out. And like you don't really think about the shit that you're thinking about realistically throughout the day. So like for me, I work a regular ass. I'm in a warehouse. It's cold. I'm by myself. And I just talked about this on today's episode, but I'm not talking to anybody besides like my wife via text. Like the warehouse is pretty secluded. I'm the only one back there. So like for me to have just a journal, and I don't consider it journaling, but in a way, I guess I am, and just talk about like shit that happened yesterday, shit that I have planned coming up. Like that's huge. And my job's not even really taxing. So for something like you guys, where it's like you guys definitely see some shit, even if it's not all the time, if you go to 10 calls and 8 are fine, you still 2 of those calls, you still saw some shit.
Yeah.
It's good to have like some that camaraderie to kind of fall back on. And that sense of humor, like we're not laughing because I mean, I make jokes about fucking everything. I just posted on Instagram. I was like, dude, if I go to a funeral for you or with you, just know I'm not trying to be rude. I'm gonna crack jokes. Like it's just who I am. Like I'm I don't want to be here, dude. There's a body like 100 feet from. Like I could see a body. Like I don't want to be here. I don't. So I'm gonna try to make the best of it. I'm not trying to be rude, but I'm going to make jokes, and that's just who I am. Like you have to.
I wish there was a fucking guide on like going to wakes and funerals too, because I mean I've had relatives that have passed away. I've had friends that have passed away, and it's still like awkward. It's like, what do you say to this parent? Sometimes it's a parent of this person you knew, like, hey, I played chess with your son.
Yeah, you have to like, if it's somebody you weren't like close enough to meet their parents, but close enough to them, like you have to give a hug and like introduce yourself. It's like, sorry we had to meet this way. Like I don't. I'm definitely sorry for your loss, but I'm also sorry that how awkward this exchange is about to be because I don't know you and I'm gonna come hug you. Like, I'm sorry for a lot of things right now, and that's one of them, dude.
Yeah, dude, and it sucks too. Like even that one I just mentioned, it was like it was a deployment guy, and everyone from it was like a reunion, and it was like, oh, it's pretty cool to see everyone, but like we're not here to see each other.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I I just found my book because dude, I should start this up again because the thing with me for like remembering calls is really like I'll put an address to something, like even just driving through the city, I'll be like, oh, we've been there, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we get I mean, like we have a old person home, a fucking retirement home, like assisted living. So we go there often, right? So like every time we go there, it's like, oh, I remember you, whatever.
Yeah.
But and I think I have a better memory than most of the guys, but you got to think like these dudes have been on job for 10 years. That's 4 calls times 80 times 10 is just a lot of fucking calls, you know,
Yeah.
and that's underballing it. Like we do 4,000 calls a year, which averages out to like 20 a day, which if you, I mean, between 3 stations. So that's going to be 7 calls a day, right?
Right.
So that's a lot. It's definitely a lot. Like I hear the sirens going right now. Brothers are going to help someone. I just opened up to a random page and we had this, I don't remember how old she was. I'm sure I wrote it down. A young female who was just like, she was manic. And we got to this house and the mom was like so in touch with firefighter. She's like, I took her vitals. Like when you go to a place where someone takes someone's vitals, they're either in the health field or they deal with some bullshit, right?
I was gonna say they dealt with it.
Yeah. So like that, you know, you're probably dealing with something at that point. Like, okay, but then it's nice to get vitals beforehand, then check them out, see if there's any change. But the patient was manic, like in her bed, sleeping. It came in as a seizure call. And you're like, okay. And the mom's like, just try not to wake her up. Like the best way you can get her into the ambulance, the better your day is going to be. And we were hammered. I wrote down that we were hammered this day. I think we had 18 calls, which is just, that was the most calls I've ever had up until this day. Anyway, so as Murphy's Law goes, what could happen would happen. And of course, we fucking woke up and she was just like, help me. And I was like, dude, it was something like out of like The Exorcism. It was just like, we're trying to help you, first off, but like you're freaking out. Like we can't even take your vitals ourselves, issue any treatment we can. And then like she would just go back down. Like she would just pass back out. And we were like, get the fucking stretcher, like get the wheelchair. Like we need to get her going. And then she did, but she was like, then she keep waking up and she's like, I need help. And it was just like, holy fuck, like we need to get her the fuck out of here. Whatever it may be. It's just, that's not a good situation for the family. It's not a good situation for us if we can't handle it, right? Like doesn't look like we're professional, whatever. But at the end of the day, like the patient's not getting the care she needs. But yeah, it just kind of went back and forth like that. And we got her into what we have a stair chair. It's like a wheelchair, but it's special to go downstairs. It's got some treading. We got her in there and luckily that has straps. And then she kept like waking up and like looking at us. And it was all like, I hate to say crazy, but it was like a possession, man. And it was just like, holy fuck. And then, I mean, we always get some background details, right? We try to figure out like really what's going on. And the parent was like, yeah, she was going through a miscarriage or something like that. Like the boyfriend passed away, like just all this bullshit that like for any person would just probably lose their mind. And I think it just like triggered seizures for her and she was just not in her own state. But it's crazy. Like your blood glucose, like diabetics, that can easily affect your behavior. Like I've seen a guy who was hypo, I don't remember the term, but he had low blood sugar.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, well, our protocol is to give him sugar. Easy enough, right? Except for that our sugar comes in like a toothpaste bottle and it tastes like shit. And if your blood sugar's low like that, you're like in this like almost like paralyzed state from what I've seen, but also like you're just mean, like not because you want to be mean, because that's how your body is forcing you to be.
Right.
So this dude wouldn't take his sugar, and we're like, yeah, we need a medic here because the medic can just stick them with sugar essentially. And then sure as shit, they came and they hit him with this sugar shot, and he was like, oh, like what are you guys doing here? It was a completely different person, like just changed. I mean, that's all he needs, right? But it's just like he has an automatic like pump that'll make sure his sugar's at a right spot, whether he needs sugar or needs insulin.
Right.
And it just malfunctioned. And it actually happened to him twice. I went back to the same spot, same thing. And the second time I was like, all right, we need a medic here. I was with a different guy. and I just kind of knew his forte. So I mean, that's
Yeah.
where experience really plays into the job. But I mean, it's crazy. Like even there was a shooting, right? In Coes, and this is a while back, and 2 a.m. something crazy. There was a guy who was shot. We treated him. We shipped him, but then we helped the police with the crime scene. We put our bucket up and used the light. So yeah, it's to say like I have some crazy fire stories, crazy
Yeah,
army
dude.
stories. I
It's
always
like,
just scratch the surface here.
yeah. No, I mean, you really can't, like when people say like, what do you ask him what is crazy? And I'm like, dude, you have to think about like he's new at this point still.
Yeah.
Like, cause I didn't know how long you've been, that's why I asked, like I was up front, like, how long have you been doing it? But I mean, since we've rekindled pretty much, you were
Yeah.
well, yeah, back from Kuwait. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
So literally I was like, I don't know how he's gonna be able to pinpoint anything. And even his answer today, in 2 weeks, something could happen. And like
Yeah.
that answer's irrelevant now.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, this past Sunday, I was, in a house doing firefighter things. And
yeah.
that was the first time I was doing firefighting activities
Yeah.
since I think that fire was back in September, I want to say.
Yeah.
So it's not luck of the draw, but it's kind of like right place, wrong time.
Right.
And I mean, the guys today, I get all the notifications what is happening with the fire on my phone. They're getting fucking demolished today. This is the same shift that's had the last 2 fires. So like, I mean, even just every 4th day, like you might just get the short straw and just get fucking obliterated with whatever.
Yeah. I mean, you almost like obviously the adrenaline's one thing, but you almost don't want a good story to tell. Because a good story for you is probably really shitty for somebody else.
Right.
Like
And it is super weird, right? Like,
yeah,
I want to fight fire, but I don't want someone's house to burn down.
right.
Like, we try to prevent that. But I guess like that's the other really, really cool part of the job, which I've loved just being in for a short time, is we do fire prevention at the schools.
Yeah.
And dude, when a firefighter shows up to an elementary school, like
Yeah,
there's
dude.
no cooler person. Like literally, there's no cooler person in the world. You
Yeah.
show up there with your gear, you have all your equipment, you got the trucks, dude. Kids go fucking nuts for it. And I love it. Like they kind of threw me in. I think that day, like the high school had a gas leak. So all the other crews were tied up, and me and another new guy were like, they were like, go do fire prevention. And I was like, this is gonna be fucking awesome. He's like, I don't know how to talk to kids. And I was like, I brief colonels and fucking generals. Like I can figure out fucking.
You don't even gotta fucking, you don't gotta talk to these kids. They're just fucking hype.
Dude, you just bring out an axe and they're ecstatic. Like you don't even have to say anything.
No, dude, like literally there was a truck outside of Lowe's, like they did a whole thing. And like we were going to Lowe's that day and I didn't even know it was I forgot about it. I saw it advertised, completely forgot, brought my son. That's his favorite store in the world. Dude. He fucking loves Lowe's.
Nuts.
We're going to Lowe's, a fucking fire truck's there. Best day of his life. He's climbing in. He doesn't want to leave. I'm like, buddy, we got it. Like, you're not the only kid here. Like, we'll come see it on the way out. I promise.
Yeah, man.
We're here
it's
for
the best day ever.
We're here for paint.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I still got to paint, dude. Oh shit. What do we got? It's 6:30 now. I don't know when we started. I feel like it's been a half hour, but I know it hasn't been.
Yeah.
So we'll probably get out of here. I really appreciate you coming on. It was a lot of fun. Like, I don't know the last time, like obviously we're on PlayStation and stuff, but like the last time you and I just had a conversation, dude, I don't know. So like that's the cool part of this that I don't really talk about or think about as much, because to me it's like it's just a podcast, whatever. But like talking to that dude Mark, Lenny, like people who I consider my friends, I still don't know the last time I sat down and just chatted for a fucking hour. You know what I mean? So I always appreciate you guys. It was a lot of fun. I know we promoted a little bit earlier, but I kind of breezed over it. Where can people find all your stuff?
So Dark Horse 6 will get you pretty close. I usually base off of Instagram. Instagram's got my link tree. But I'm some version of Dark Horse 6 on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter. I even dabbled into the Twitter world. Feel like I'm missing one. Twitch, obviously. But yeah, if you find my Instagram, it's actually in my personal page as well, to link to my Dark Horse Instagram page, and then you can kind of get to where you need to from there. But yeah, that's best way to find me.
There it is. And you have a link tree for all that. I'll put everything in the description of this episode. So make it real easy for everybody. I'll even just throw your link tree if it's easier. We'll figure something out, but everything will be posted. You'll be easy to find. Dude, this was a lot of fun. Thank you. I appreciate it.
I really appreciate you having me. And I really hope this isn't the last time we do it, because
no.
hopefully
you'll have stories. So like that's the thing with your profession. We'll always be able to hop in here and talk, and hopefully by then your channel's bigger, I'm bigger, and everything's good.
Yeah, hopefully this generates some questions. Like maybe someone's like thinking that their nephew or niece had a bee stuck up their nose, and they're like, well, have you ever dealt with this? And I mean, honestly, even just being a year and a half on the job, I've probably seen something along the lines. So hopefully this generates some questions. And even just coming to the Twitch, hanging out. You can find me on Facebook Live and YouTube Live. And that's really what I started streaming, was like, this probably wouldn't have never happened if you didn't come in and like, dude, you suck. You know what I mean? But I mean, it's brought us to this point, and it's really just to rekindle with people, because we all have lives and it's hard to hang out. So, why not do it virtually, like we said earlier, and come in, hang out, talk shit if you want to, say hi. It's really nice to see some people that I haven't talked to in a long time come in and just be like, some people even ask me like Call of Duty advice, and I'm like, yeah, man, I spent a lot of time on this.
I need that. Dude, that class you were using, that one gun you were on Dome. We'll talk about it off this because it's real nerdy, but like that thing was sick. So I need that. I was like, I'll have to send you like the clip. You even said it. You're like, this gun's fucking dirty. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
Was it a sniper or shotgun?
No, I don't think
it was shotgun.
I don't remember, but it was disgusting.
Like, dude, I was there. I was like, I'm chilling. We chill when we play. I don't really go hard when we play. And I was just like, oh shit, dude, I'm like 30 and fucking 5 right now. I was like, I guess this gun's pretty fucking sweet. I think it was shotgun. But yeah, that's another thing, is I want to kind of capture my classes, right? Because I definitely piggyback off of some of the bigger people, and there's definitely guns that like statistically are better than others, but they don't work for everyone, and people like different things. So I noticed that some people do like Excel sheets, or they have their classes somewhere. And I want to start doing that, not only for their benefit, but for mine too, right? Like I switch it up so much that I want to go back to what I was using before. And then people love that, right? Like they want to know what to use to be good. And there are just guns that are better than others.
That's literally what it is. So like, as soon as you were like, yeah, people come to me for advice, I was like, fuck, dude, I want that class. So,
by the way, I know we're podcasting right now, but what was that shotgun class?
Dude. So dude, we'll like I said, we'll do it again. We'll definitely do it again. I want to have like people on reoccurring, and try to get some new people, try to get some old people, and it's gonna be fun. It'll be a lot of fun.
For sure. I hope a lot of our old friends, not old friends, but just friends we haven't talked to in a while, listen to this, and they're like, dude, that's a fucking good thing they got going on. And they fucking come on, they jump on the bus, man. It is. It's a lot of fun.
It definitely is. Even just streaming, even if I wasn't doing this, just the fact that we're all streaming and having fun, dude, it's a blast.
The fact that you put me in your pocket while you're working at a warehouse, dude, that makes
dude, I do,
bro. It's fucking awesome. Dude, I do that shit too. Like, just throw it on, just like talk.
Like, I don't have to watch it. Like, I'm just here for. It helps you, first of all, because you're just getting longer views. But like, I just want to know what's going on. Like, maybe you'll get a phone call that I'm not going to talk about out here.
I do have to give one shout out to Vets United Gaming. I found them through Stop Soldier Suicide, which I've had a lot of success with in the past, right? Even just the topic of that really just fucking touches home for some people. I did a ruck march last year. It was like 50 miles in a month, and that fucking sucked and hurt my back. And this year I saw 30 hours of video game, and it was a perfect opportunity for me to get into streaming, get people involved. And through them, I found Vets United Gaming, and it's a Discord. Like I said, I'm not very great at Discord, but they brought me in and they're like, dude, you stream? Like, good. You're on our team. Like, throw your logo on there. And I was like, that's awesome. And it's all vets. So if you're a vet, check them out. Hit me up. I could get you the Discord, get you in there. But they've been great to me this far. So I did want to give a shout out to them.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you shouted them out. I talked about that a little bit, I think, when I was, advertising you would be on. So I would have been pretty pissed off to remember that after the fact. They're like, dude, fuck. Like, so no, I am glad because I know this, soldier suicide, stop soldier suicide. I know how important that is, just in general. So like, I think for the Ruck, and I think I donated to both. I was a part of the 30 hours. Just anything to support that.
Yeah.
That's such an
that's
easy.
really appreciated. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's such an easy thing to do is to support something like that. And it's cool what Vets United is doing as well.
Yeah. Yeah. We could probably sit here. I could probably do another hour and a half just talking about that subject. But yeah, that's really good, man. That's a good thing. I like to support that. Like, I see the birthday shout outs. It's like donate to St. Jude's, and like I want to, right? But like, that's not a touch home point for me. So
yeah, it is.
I was just gonna say, like, people probably see it and they're like, and I'm like, to be honest with you, I don't even know where that money goes. I'm really hoping it goes towards some sort of behavioral health treatment for soldiers who can't afford it. There are a lot of avenues for soldiers to get help. I would share those, like if someone reaches out to me through this, like point them in that direction. I've done it. I've pointed soldiers in that direction. So I think even just bringing the name up, right? Like you see, they start a Facebook group and you see people get discouraged. They're like, I raised $0. And everyone always just jumps in and it's like, dude, it's not about raising money. It's about promoting the topic, right?
Exactly.
In a way of awareness, not really promoting it, but just bringing awareness. It's a thing. It fucking sucks. And we still haven't figured out how to prevent it. So I think it definitely helps just showing some sort of support towards it. Like, you have, I mean, I honestly click a few buttons and an event pops up, right? And then all I have to do is share it.
Exactly.
And I'm lucky to have such a good support group. Like, dude, it's crazy. Like my family's probably donated $1,000 alone, just to those two fundraisers. And it's kind of like, well, you didn't really have to do that, but it means something to them, like just myself being a soldier, they're like, well, fuck, like I don't ever want to be in that situation.
Right.
Like, but yeah, we can do, maybe if one comes around, we can do a podcast for it. They have them every month, but like most of them are physical. Like it's like do 2 million push-ups in a month. And I'm like, dude, can't do 2 million push-ups.
That's a lot of fucking push-ups.
Dude, one of them, yeah, man, dude, no, it's not that much, but like this, I think the next one is like play 72 holes of golf. And it's like, dude, that's fucking awesome. Like, so they are starting to be a little bit more creative and it's not just run like 300 miles in a month. Cause that's fucking tough.
Yeah. But, I mean, it's good you're going to get different eyes doing different things. So it's smart what they're doing with that, and how to raise awareness. But next time one rolls around that you're interested in, we'll do a whole episode here just based on that.
Yeah.
That'll
cool.
I think that'll be cool.
That might be pretty shortly. Like once the weather breaks, and it's starting to break now. I think I did it last May. So I don't want to do a ruck again. My back's kind of fucked up just from wear and tear. But every month I look at it and I'm like, I could do that. And then it's kind of like, but yeah,
like I said, once that comes around, reach out to me, or I'm sure I'll see it because I follow up with you all the time.
Yeah,
I'm sure I'll see it and we'll plan something around that. But that's about it for me, man.
Cool. I love it. I love where this is going. I'm glad we rekindled. I'll be on stream when I can, and this is awesome. I can't wait to do it again. This has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna do it, dude. Thank you again. I really appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you.
Later, man.
Have a good one.